Okay, we are ready. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this morning Thursday call. We are excited to have Karen on the Zoom. Gee, I went back 20 years. But yeah, the famous conference calls. Okay, welcome, Karen, and go ahead. Everything is recording right now. Yeah, everything should.
Great. Thank you, George. Good morning, everyone, wherever you may be. So I had my talk all set, but I got so inspired by Shannon that this morning I woke up and made new new notes. So bear with me. I hope that this is impactful for you. So this is going to go back quite a few years as well. But my topic would be change. And it's if you want change, you have to be willing to change, right? So we'll go back to our story a little bit. We were expecting our first child. And Colombo had told me prior to that I could come home as a full-time mom. But I was the head of a respiratory therapy department in a local hospital, and we needed that income. So what were we going to do? But it was on our mind before we even started the pregnancy and all 9 months of the pregnancy. And even by then, we really hadn't received an answer. But I'm going to go a little bit of history, and I want you to be examining your own life for this to see how this can affect you and have you encountered some of these things. So anyway, Columbo was taking uh, courses at the University of Maine. He was also working at UPS. He had started his own company. And a perfect stranger in a 6-week course during the summer had been interviewing Columbo. He thought he was just being friendly and this and that, but he'd asked about Columbo's favorite subject, he says. Everybody's favorite subject usually is them when people voice an interest in you. And so he found out that indeed he was married, he had his own business, he was doing this college education as well. He had apartment houses. That was one of our other things we were doing. And he had a wife home expecting our first child. So, anyway, as he was knowing our dilemma, how can I get my wife home as a full time mom? By the end of 6 weeks, he said to Columbo, I may have something for you. So he and his wife came over to our meager apartment. We were practicing delayed gratification because, as you hit the story unwinds, we were being taught and saw an example of how to obtain rental units, rental apartments, homes, and this and that. So we said, you know what, why don't we buy a two-family, which we did. And in the state of Maine, that's where we were living. We bought this two-family that had 600 square feet in the first floor. That's where we lived with 3 bedrooms. I don't even know how they did it. And 600 feet the second floor. It had no heating system, no central heating system in the state of Maine. So we had to do that when we bought it. And it had a dirt floor, which it did still have a dirt floor when we sold it. But we had a tenant that paid our home mortgage, and that's how we decided to practice delayed gratification, and we did. And after a few years, we did sell that, and we asked the tenant Bob. We said, "Hey Bob, do you want to buy this and have your tenant pay your mortgage, or do you want to just sit here and you pay the next owner's mortgage?" Just made sense to us that we would practice that delayed gratification because that was worth it for us. Anyway, when our original sponsor in our first platform said to Columbo, I may have something for you. And he knew we were looking because for 6 weeks, Columbo was in a dilemma. How am I going to get my wife home as a full-time mom? So it's like we didn't know what we wanted. And he was presenting to us a company, a network marketing plan as a business. It wasn't as a product way to go door to door or anything like that. It was presented as a business. And so we didn't know if that was the answer to our prayer, but you know what? We wanted some kind of result. People don't go buy a drill because they want a drill. They buy a drill because they want a hole. So, okay, then maybe this will work. We wanted to have me home as a full-time mother. So we jumped in. We did not stop looking. But this was all happening during the time of just having a brand new baby. The answer came, and it was just as I was going to be home for about 6 weeks because we hadn't solved the problem, and I had to go back to work after 6 weeks. So I went back to work, and but Colombo did jump in. This couple came over. They put up a board, chalkboard at the time, no cell phones, no internet, no great tools. Their tool was a piece of paper with a mimeograph or a picture of a Winnebago motorhome that one of the biggest icons in the business, Dexter Yeager, that's what he and his wife Bertie had. And that was the dream, this picture of a motorhome. And we said, gosh, that looks like the trailers that people live in some of the trailer parks like that. I didn't know that you actually could drive them around and take them where you wanted. We just were kind of naive on the big dreaming of things. But anyway, Colombo, I went back. I had was home for 6 weeks. I went back to work. He was still working all his things that he's doing. But when he saw that, our lives changed. Our lives changed, and we changed. We adopted what we needed to do. We were told and mentored that you're going to make a names list. Okay, we can do that. We know Colombo knows lots of people. He used to work at a tavern during the day, in addition to all the other things. And during the day, there were actually normal people. And at night, it turned into an animal house. But during the day, there were the lawyers from town and the doctors would come down from the hospital. And it was a very nice place to meet a lot of people. But we believed a perfect stranger. That's a thin thread. And I bet if you examined how you became a part, maybe your initial investment, initial experience in this business, that it might be very unique. It might be your best friend, but it might be a stranger like it was for us, changed our life. So our new business with our sponsors, they would call. Brian was his name. He'd call Colombo every day. And he might just check him out, see how he's doing, any new people he can help with this or that. Or maybe he would even just tell Colombo a story with a joke. But you know what he did? He had another group that was growing. And he would always talk about that other group growing like crazy, Colombo. Man, you wouldn't believe how Albert is doing. He's just doing great. Of course, that was like a little bit of a, okay, he's doing great. Well, you just wait, right? But that was his daily influence in our life. So we had personal contact really, really tight. When I look back on how that happening, we had been dreaming. We'd been imagining me being home as a full-time mom. How can Colombo and I replace our income for that to happen? We never stopped looking. And this is what happened. We were remodeling in our apartment, right? Two family, no central heat, I mentioned to you. But when I went in to have our baby, I left that house without a kitchen. There was no kitchen. I'm having a new baby at the hospital I worked in. I'm going to come back to a home, and I'm hoping he's getting those cabinets in and that water on in the kitchen. In the meantime, we had been living for about 6 months in our bathroom. In our tub, we had running water. We do our dishes. I can't remember if we had a microwave or just one of those toaster ovens. Again, no problem in practicing delayed gratification because we knew what this investment was going to bring to us. We weren't sure what we were looking for the investment to bring me home as a full-time mom, but now we found out it's network marketing. Okay, so we were practicing delayed gratification, and we're glad to make the sacrifice. And we didn't think it was a sacrifice anyway. So we've been influenced. All right, think of the people that influenced you. Colombo's father was his father, so Colombo's grandfather, came from Italy with a brother, and they came in and immigrated through Ellis Island. We've been there before. And his grandfather was Antonio de Salvatore. And his name, you can go into Ellis Island and you go into the building on the island, and you can see all these immigrations and their signatures on. So there's the signature of Antonio de Salvatore coming through Ellis Island, and a dream was built. When he got here and he worked his way to Maine, he opened a family business, an Italian family business called the Bella Napoli. Then Colombo's father went into the military, and when he came home, his dad passed away shortly after that. His dad's dad passed away, and the family lost the restaurant. So his father now had to have a job when he got out of the military. And he would shave his face every night before he was going to work the next morning. Colombo would sit on the little toilet, put the seat down, and his father would say, Colombo, don't you ever go to work for anybody else. You get your own business. Whatever you do, don't let people make the choices, tell you when to come to work, how much money you can have, what car you can drive. Don't let anybody ever have that much control over your life. So he was mentored at a very early age, and those things stayed with him. And that was our first mentor, Colombo's dad. And those are great, wonderful stories. And those he did get his own business. Shortly after we were married, Colombo said, okay, I'm going to get my own business now. And he said, all right, I'm going to be a construction. Everybody said, Colombo, do you know anybody that can fix stairs? Colombo, do you know anybody that can fix chimneys? Can you know anybody that can build a small shed, whatever it is? And he goes, maybe that's me. So we went and bought a hammer, a nail, a couple of tools, right? And a business card. He was in business. That's how he started his business. Thank God for free enterprise in this country that allows us to do that. So anyway, that was in his mind. We had another mentor. His name was Dieter. He came from Germany. And we met him shortly after we were married, and his dream was to come to America. He had a suitcase, and I think it was $100 bills. It might not, a $100 bill, it might not have been that. But his desire was to buy enough apartment houses that he would have residual volume, and that was how he was going to retire. So that's why we bought our two-family home. We were always searching, always dreaming, always believing. So reflect on those lives because you may have some people that you haven't realized, wow, they said that to us and that made a huge difference for our adventure and our experience now, our career in network marketing. So anyway, um, as I said, Columbo started his own business and we needed tools. You need tools for this. When we got started, we had to pay for all of the tools. The tools were cassette tapes. The tools were your board and easel. The tools were buying tickets to events. Today, with our system here with 3, we have Zooms. We have lots of replays there. We have um, lots of a great financial reward system, the best ever. As George knows, our first platform was hard, and a lot of you have been in platforms that were just hard, but we didn't know any different. We just knew this is it. This is what God has brought us because we have been asking and praying for something like this. And so change was not hard for us. We changed. It was easy. Okay. So then the perfect stranger, which was Brian at the University of Maine, contacted Columbo. And it's the power of a dream. When your dream is big enough, the facts don't count. When your dream is big enough, you're going to change because uh, there's there's so much power in that dream because what are the alternatives? We asked for an answer. We asked for something that could bring us home as a full-time mom. And we received this and say, and then I think, oh gosh, you can read the books and you can experience these things. We would say to ourselves, oh man, the places that we have gone, the people that have come into our lives, the people we've met, the stories that we hear, the power of the dream. That's our fuel. So don't ever, ever let your dream go low. Let your dream go dark. You have to have that big why. And that big why was something we experienced each and every day. I did come home eventually because we were expecting our second son. Our first son was Columbo the third. Our second son is Nick. And they were 18 months apart. And then, lo and behold, about another year and a half, 2, we had a third son, Jonathan. We were so blessed. But I was home now with the second one, and I was able to stay home and create. This is our career. I loved health and wellness because that's what I was in, was a wellness medical background, and I loved this business. So our lives were changed, and they changed quickly. And why was it so easy? I just say it was because we had that dream, and it was just festering in us, and we were waiting to unleash it and do something with our lives. So Columbo dove in. The first people out there. This is how he showed the plan. We were shown an hour plan. The couple came over. I'm counting contractions, mind you, so I'm not paying attention. And so they put up the board and they showed us that piece of paper. They drew out the plan. And so Columbo was in. The next morning, this is how he showed the plan. He said, okay, I'm going to show some people. It wasn't, how do you do this? You got to show some. Oh gosh, I got to study. I got to learn this. No, no, no. The next morning, Columbo got up and he called his brother, Tony. Hey, Tony, what you doing? Nothing. I'm coming over. I got something to show you. Yeah, it's a way to make money. So he saw an hour plan the night before. The next morning, he goes over to his brother's and he shows him the plan. Took about 5 minutes. So here's how it goes. Hey, Tony, what you doing? Nothing. Okay, I'm coming over. Well, I found this last night. It's a way to make money. Tony goes, are you going to do it? Columbo goes, yeah, I'm going to do it. So Tony goes, I'm going to do it too. Boom, signed him in. The next one he called was his best man. The same thing. He didn't worry. He didn't try to analyze. He just said, I got something to share with people. I'm just going to give him a call. We are reaching out today for people. We want to see if they're open, right? And the very close people, you can just kind of say, you've got to see this. The other people, you have to develop a relationship, find out if they're looking and if they're open. And we've got plenty of ways to show the plan. We've got beautiful showcase. You can jot something down. You can do a few of those slides. You can tie them into the Zoom opportunities and the replays. Get them on a 3-way call or a 3-way Zoom with your working mentors upline. So powerful. So, so powerful. So anyway, we know what happened to us. God had blessed us with this big dream, and now we have a vehicle, and we had an unstoppable desire to win. Unstoppable desire to win. So don't let those obstacles in life stop you. Don't let the distractions win. Don't let them steal your dream. That's what Dexter Yates would say. Don't let anyone steal your dream. So I'm just amazed at how we had been prepared. And I bet you can find ways in your life that you had been prepared for something like this. And did in some things that we did or did not use our circumstances as an excuse. We used all of those things that happened. Everybody has obstacles coming in their life. We used them as reasons to overcome. If our car broke down, well, the obstacle would be, do we have enough money to get a new car and get it fixed? Well, when you have an industry that we're a part of, you have your own business, and then money doesn't become as such an issue, then you're not going to even spend 3 seconds on it because you're just going to get your car fixed, right? So don't succumb to your excuses, and make sure that you use those excuses as reasons, okay? So our entire schedule, our lives changed immediately. The power of the dream, the willingness to change, to grow, to become better, to become positive. And attitude is so very important. We learned that we didn't even know we were saying negative words. I would say something like, well, we can be there, but, or ifs, and buts and ifs were limiting beliefs, meaning it kind of sets you up for failure. If you just always, well, I don't know, or this and that. We stopped talking like that. And our sponsor would say, don't say that, just say when we do this, and this will happen. So you profess the positive, and then you change your whole attitude, and things change around you as well. So we shared the opportunity with everyone we knew. And then who do they know? Who do they know? And we know that, right? So here we are out showing the plan. I want to just tell you Columbus' quick plan. His first big plan, he would take his board and easel. He'd wear a suit and tie for even one-on-ones. There'd be one one person sitting down in the chair. Columbo would put his board up and he would spin those circles, and he was on fire. One-on-ones, one-on-ones. Well, it wasn't long until we had a house meeting. Now there are 8 to 10 people there. And I'm not sure what possessed Columbo to do this, but he made some flashcards with all the little notes that he thought, this would be good. So he stands up and he has them in his hand, the little flashcards, and he goes, oh, I don't need these. And he threw them on the floor. And he said, as soon as those flashcards hit the floor, his brain went blank. So I don't really know what he said because I wasn't there at that time. It was really early on and I was still home. So anyway, he looked at our sponsor, he tells me, and the sponsor's just smiling, like, keep going. Well, he recovered. He didn't let that scar him for the rest of his life and say, oh, I'm never going to do that again. He never got out of the saddle. He was in the saddle and he was on his way. So I have to laugh because, we have all of these excuses. We have all of these, what would people think, or how did I do? And, there was a diamond in the previous platform, the first platform. And he would say, listen, you never want to get too good, showing the plan of this and that. He says, I don't want to intimidate somebody that they could never do it as good as Tim did it or this or that. We want to be ourselves and authentic because we have the tools to back up everything we're saying. And we want people to be able to get a tool in their hand, to be able to see somebody like a George and Adrian show the plan, or Lance and Tracy show the plan, because we're just newbies, right? We're just starting. So we don't want to be the superstar anyway. The superstar is that brand new person taking a look, that brand new person that's got a glimmer of a dream, and we want to get their why big, big, big so that they will feel like we felt. Okay, I'm not sure if this works, but why not try it? What if we try it and it doesn't work? This is way back when. But what if we try it and it works? We know it works. Now it's obvious that network marketing is a tremendous industry and enterprise. Lots of people have made it successful. That's not the question now. The question is, will you work, right? Will you plug in? Will you change? Will you be a part of the system? Will you do that personal development? Will you do the activities, names, contact, show the plan, follow up, then duplicate? And not just duplicate, you want to leverage. We want that to be leveraged where 3 gets 3 gets 3 gets 3. So anyway, that's how we rolled. And our lives changed forever, because Columbo said, sure, come on over. So he brought this gentleman that we didn't even know to our half renovated home. At that time, we didn't have a bathroom door. We did have a bathroom. So this precious couple, she had to use the bathroom. And I said, it's just down the hall there. Well, from our kitchen, we could see right down the hall there. And there's the bathroom. And there's no door. But I had a blanket on a nail that you pull over the opening and you put it on the other nail. So you had like a blanket door. And she never said a word. And she got in there and she didn't see at first she didn't see the blanket. And the way that I could see her is she was sitting on the toilet and there was a little thing, a little wall, and I could see her little knees, right? I go, oh my gosh, she doesn't know about the blanket. I'm saying, oh, you can just pull that, blanket up over the other nail and you'll have a little privacy. I don't know what they thought, but you know what? They knew they had a couple that had a dream. So anyway, that was how we started. And that was how, oh my goodness, that was how we started, and we've never stopped. So, that meeting that Columbo did, that was a house meeting, people joined. They thought, if this kook is going to do it, oh, I know Columbo, and he's going to do this. I'm going to do it too. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, how about the story? How bad do you want it? Do you remember it could have been a philosopher, Socrates. He had this gentleman or a student of his. He was the mentor and the student in a lake, I think I read, and he put the student's head under the water like he was going to drown him, right? And he kept it there and kept it there, and he could feel how much the student wanted to gasp that breath. And he finally broke through, and his mentor let him up. And he was gasping. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "You have to want something to achieve it as bad as you wanted that breath." Wow, that was pretty provocative. Like, wow, okay. So I hope you want it. I know there's been parts in our career. There was no choice for us. We needed to do this, and we wanted to do this. So we made that our life. And now we have three, which is another whole wonderful story. When we share about this platform, we want to tell the story of three. We want to tell its inception and the great leadership that pulled together, the collaboration of wonderful leaders. When I think about Linda and Mike and Heaven, I always say, and Lance and Tracy and Kim and Samson, George and Adrian. And now we've got great leaders with Christina's there, and I'm going to miss a lot of people, but we have a great team of leadership, servant leaders in this business that are helping all of us. It's a wonderful thing. We have the greatest products. Back then we had cleaning products, but we did have some great vitamins. And now we've got some of the absolute best proactive wellness supplements. And it's an amazing thing. So we can help people in all areas of their life, whether it be their health walk, their fiscal walk, or their spiritual walk, because people need community. So, there is a price to pay. But there's a price to pay if you build this business. Oh, but there's a price to pay if you don't build it, because the rewards are so great. I believe, Columbo and I believe, in this business. So we pray that you have a big dream. We pray that that power of the dream is going to help you to grow and to change. We all have to change because none of us are perfect. We can always be learning, especially because of these morning masterminds, which are great. And so we just pray that you would do it because, yes, it works. And now we are going to decide and soon, you know what? That work becomes our mission. We love doing it. Imagine being able to help people, help your family, reap all these kinds of rewards, which are amazing. I didn't even talk about the free trips and all the travel and the other countries that we're in, and what an experience this has been and will be, because we're just 2 years old. We're just 2 years old. And if you're growing, keep going. But if you're stalled, reach up, because there's somebody up there that wants to help you. So here's a call to action. So the game plan is core three. Can you get your three? Do you have three in play? We're not saying get 300. We're saying make a name list, maybe 30, maybe 100, but you're looking for three, right? And who do you want at the top of your tree? Who do you want to position and say, hey, come along. Listen, I want you in here. You're one of my first three that I wanted to ask to join if you're just getting started. And if your people are just getting started, you can tell that. And you know what? This business does work when you sleep. I woke up this morning, I said, congratulations, you're growing. You just have a new customer. I'm not even quite sure how that customer joined, signed up, ordered stuff. It was great. It's part of my core three. So it's just amazing how this business works, and it's not difficult, but it takes effort. So the next call to action is convention. And that's our really big event. It's going to be fantastic. I don't know. I know George knows a lot more that's going on, but we need to make those calls to see, making sure that our teammates are coming. And sometimes, if you didn't call them, maybe they wouldn't, but maybe your call to them will say, oh, you know what? I think I am going to go. Of course I'm going to go. This is the one convention. This is like the board of directors get together, that is, we don't want to miss that. So that would be call to action. Get your core three, get your three, okay? and then duplicate, and then use leverage and get that really replicating. And then conventions. So we'll see you all in Salt Lake City. And we just pray that this might have helped in a little while, in a little bit. Everybody has a story and you have your story. And we always look forward to hearing other people's story. So God bless you. And I'm finished for today. Thank you, George.
Thank you very much, and thank you. So many nuggets, and one of them, by the way, doesn't matter where you are, you can start. It's something that you were saying about doing your meeting in a house that didn't have the bathroom door. Um, eh, Many times, some people said, "You know what? I don't want to invite anybody to my home because I have a little apartment, I have little things." It doesn't matter because it's not where you are; it's where you are going. People want to see your vision. When somebody's excited about vision, they join you. It's not if you because you have the big house or the big car. Of course, that helps when you are making money, but at the same time, when you have a vision, because they join you, they don't join the house or the car. They are not the ones that are going to be working with them. It's why it's so important because I thank you for saying that, and also to be open-minded. The fact that you were open-minded, because if you have not, we don't know what you were doing today. But we know what happened because you were open-minded to listen to a person that you didn't know. And at the second part of the story, you can talk to people that you don't know because you don't know if there you have the next leader.
That's right. Hey, Colombo is here too, but he wasn't able
Hey,
to
Colombo,
talk.
how are
He's going to be
you?
able to say hi. I had to tell his story.
Everything she said was true.
Good morning. Great to see you.
Do you want to
Yeah,
talk to
but
him? And he goes, well, I'm struggling a little bit with this nagging cough or something. So I was glad to pitch in.
yeah, I'm glad you told your story because the stories, like they say, story tell facts, stories tell actually. Facts are boring. Depend on who you are talking to, by the way. There are people that love facts and formulas, etc. And that's it, that's enough. But actually, stories give the feeling of what really happened, what it bring you to the success, etc. Because facts are, it's like opening a book about a bunch of formulas. Most people are not going to get excited, except Dr. Dan, probably when he opened and he see all these molecules, etc. He love it, but
We got in January, and that was the month that we had our first child. So January, make sure I get this. January 1st, we bought 4 apartment buildings, and some of them needed restoring, and that was Columbo's one of his side jobs was to get those working. So we had all these apartment buildings, and then on the 11th, we had our first son. And then on the 19th, we signed into the business, our first platform. And I never signed that application. That was the Amway business. And when they went their first $1 billion, we got this nice plaque and it was K period, Colombo and K period de Salvatore. Gosh, I wish they would just put my name on it. And this is like 10 years later. And he goes, well, honey, you never signed the application. I signed you in as K period. And now, mind you, I always cash the checks. But I thought, why are you carrying on it? So, and then the 20th was Colombo's birthday. So we had a big month in January and we started it. So we were another couple, like many, busy. We were busy. And it didn't even affect us when we decided to incorporate this as part of our life. It was just an automatic. I don't know how many people were in that kind of a spot because some people get in and they'll incubate for a little while and then something will happen. They go, I'm going to do this. Or maybe they started and they stopped. But the thing is, if you never quit, you're not going to lose. Never, ever quit. This business is your business. It's, you're not in the race with anybody and you can always restart. It's a great forgiving business and things do change. So that's never quit. This is a gift to us. This 3 is such a gift and we've been around and this is the absolute best ever. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, you never quit, and you doesn't matter what you are doing. Something beautiful about this business was true at the time when you started, that you could start the business part-time, although it was tougher. Today it's easier with the tools.
Oh, it
That's what
sure is. My goodness. We can be
today is
connected on Zoom in less than a minute
Yes.
and hook people into something with a link. Oh my goodness, it's so
Yes.
efficient.
Yes, today tools make it easier, save you a lot of time. You can do it in less time. You can connect with more people, and it's cheaper too. Because before we were buying all these tools that cost yearly, we were spending thousands of dollars in tools. Plus, at the time that you started the other company, St. Ados, every time you made a long distance call, you had to pay 18 cents or something like that per minute. Right now, how many you pay 18 cents per minute? You can even call free through WhatsApp if you don't have a phone. Just to give you an idea. Is an international. I mean, you can talk to people internationally without having to pay $2 or $3 a minute. That was at some points. This we live a golden age of communication, and that's perfect for us. But for perfect for our business, perfect for connecting with people, and people can see us. Of course, being person is number one always, but being on Zoom is number two because they can see you. This is something that we didn't have before. We were doing sometimes conference calls and things like that. And again, conference call cost money because we had to pay per minute, unless somebody has an 800 number. And if we are the ones as leaders had an 800 number, we were paying every minute that everybody was on the call. That we have 100 people on the call, each one we had to pay for the minute that they were using. Yeah, that's why it's so much powerful. Welcome, Laura. She just joined this morning. Oh, that's great. Welcome to our team. But anyway, thank you very much for the call. Like always, this is being recorded. And tonight, but remember at 7 o'clock, we have our team business call, opportunity call, where you want to have guests there. And thank you very much, everybody. And remember, we have the new packages. You already know about that amazing package, the right points, the right PIDs. That's amazing. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Have an amazing day.
Thank you,
Great.
everyone.